this out. We have some new reporting, and it seems like Pete Hegseth is on the verge of getting fired. Of course, Hegseth has been riddled with scandal in the past couple of weeks, but more so throughout his entire tenure as the Secretary of the Department of Defense. And we know who Donald Trump is. Whenever there is chaos surrounding his administration, even if it's on him, he will find somebody to blame, throw them under the bus, and discard them, regardless of how loyal they've been to Donald Trump. It's the Trump treatment, and it seems like Hegseth could be on the verge of getting it. We have some reporting here from the Daily Beast that it might be happening, it might be around the corner, but only time will tell. So before we get into any of this, make sure to subscribe down below, drop a like on the video, comment, let me know what you think about this story, and let's get into some news first and foremost that Hegseth has really dreaded, and it's this. The Pentagon Signalgate review, which has been ongoing behind the scenes since Pete Hegseth decided to share classified information in a Signal chat, has found that Pete Hegseth violated military regulations, which is not exactly surprising. The Defense Department Inspector General concluded in a report filed Tuesday that the information Pete Hegseth shared on a group Signal chat about a pending military operation in Yemen was considered classified, according to two people who've read the report. The report outlines the findings of more than an 8-month investigation into his use of Signal, an encrypted but unclassified messaging app to share details of the planned U.S. strikes in March. It found that the information Hegseth shared had been marked secret and could have imperiled American troops, and had it been intercepted by a foreign adversary, the two people who read the report said. The evaluation by the Defense Department Inspector General also concluded that Hegseth violated military regulations by using his personal phone for official business. And this reminds me of the whole Hillary Clinton email saga thing, right? I mean, MAGA Republicans were furious about her doing certain things with emails or having emails be connected to a personal account. And now Pete Hegseth is using his personal phone to communicate about a classified, a secret military mission, and MAGA's suddenly silent about that. It's almost like they don't actually care. Isn't that surprising? Hegseth, who declined an interview with investigators but provided them with a brief written statement, has maintained that he shared no classified information on the group chat. Hegseth said in his statement to investigators that he provided only information he thought would not imperil either the mission or the troops conducting it. The investigators for the Inspector General noted they did not agree with that assessment, which is important. But that's just one bad piece of news that Hegseth got today. How about another? The Associated Press reported that the Pentagon knew the September boat attack that has been very much so in the news. Of course, Pete Hegseth, Donald Trump are being accused of war crimes, which this very much appears to be a war crime. The Pentagon knew a September boat attack in the Caribbean left survivors, but still launched a follow-on strike to sink the vessel. This is something we've been talking about, but some detail that has been somewhat absent from the reporting, which is, did the Pentagon know or not whether there were survivors? Now, certain reporting said it did. The Pentagon said no, but now we have confirmation. According to the AP, the Pentagon knew there were survivors after the attack. The rationale for the second strike was that it was needed to sink the vessel. According to people familiar with the matter who spoke anonymously, the Trump admin says all 11 people were killed. What remains unclear was who ordered the strikes and whether Pete Hegseth was involved. The details are becoming crucial as lawmakers have launched investigations and are seeking to determine whether the U.S. acted lawfully. I think that, to me at least, this question appears pretty obvious, that Pete Hegseth was absolutely involved. He bragged about being involved on Fox News. And Pete Hegseth is the leader of this department. It would be unimaginable that an order of this magnitude just subverted him and didn't go through him, or at least he had no knowledge about it. Which, having knowledge in and of itself, it can subject him to some criminal liability. And we have Ryan Goodman, an attorney, kind of calling out this new rationale that they're providing for this strike, that the second strike was only to sink the vessel, not to kill people. And of course, there's some problems there. USG has a new explanation on why they admittedly intentionally killed 2 shipwrecked men. It does not pass the laws of war smell test. Worse for Hegseth, quote, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth approved contingency plans for what to do if an initial strike left survivors. The Hegseth approved contingency plan, quote, U.S. military could try to kill shipwreck survivors if they took what the United States deemed to be a hostile action, like communicating with suspected cartel members. First, it's absurd on its face that communicating to be rescued is a hostile act, which, yeah, that is absurd. That's a definition of being shipwrecked and helpless. The whole point of a legal prohibition on killing people who are shipwrecked is that they must be rescued or left to be rescued instead. What about explanation that in retrieving the men, the cartel might also retrieve illicit substances? It's legally ludicrous to claim, as Hegseth would, that such activity equals failure to cease all activity that is related to combat. And this is the handbook. Quote, shipwrecked persons do not include combatant personnel engaged in seaborne attacks who are proceeding ashore unless they are clearly in distress and require assistance. They qualify as shipwrecked persons only if they have ceased all active combat military. Let Hegseth or Bradley or Kane try to defend the idea that retrieving illicit substances is active combat activity. They can't. They're digging themselves in worse. And there's more to this, but that's the main thing, that the idea that a contingency plan approved by Hegseth somehow protects him is utter crap. And the idea that any of this makes sense, their new explanation, is utter crap. Now let's get into some of the reasons as to Hegseth firing could be on the outs. Of course, we have this new report on Signalgate, but the blunder is just the latest episode of embarrassments for, I love this word to describe them, the hapless former Fox hosts. They include, number one, Democrats demanding he face war crime charges for allegedly demanding that everyone aboard a targeted narco-terrorist boat be wiped out, posting a poor taste meme over the weekend depicting a cartoon turtle, Franklin, from a children's book opening fire from a helicopter with a rocket launcher on a cargo vessel, inviting Elon Musk to a classified Pentagon briefing in March about plans for possible war with China, which is utterly absurd that Musk not only was able to acquire everybody's data through Doge, but also was in on meetings regarding war with China. It's insane. Infuriating allies by appearing to favor Russia in the war against Ukraine, threatening to force Democratic lawmaker Mark Kelly, a former Navy pilot, back into service for court-martial after he appeared in a video urging service members not to follow unlawful orders, which is protected First Amendment activity, kicking out all the traditional media from the Pentagon press room, including his former employer, Fox News, after they refused to sign a pledge that they wouldn't approve, or wouldn't publish any unapproved information, which is also insane. It's basically giving the Defense Department under Pete Hegseth control of the media. And finally, demanding his generals fly in from around the world to assemble at Quantico for a September lecture on what it takes to be a soldier, being clean-shaven, trim, and maintaining a warrior ethos. Which, does anybody think that this guy maintains a warrior ethos? I don't think so. Despite his public support for Hegseth, there are signs the president may not have complete confidence in him. The 45-year-old, of course, served tours in Afghanistan, Iraq, and Guantanamo Bay and reached the rank of major. Hegseth was reportedly blocked out of the biggest and arguably most successful military operation of Trump's second term, the missile attacks on Iran. Successful. I don't know if that's a word I'd use. He was also overlooked in November when Trump needed someone from the Pentagon to engage with Russia in the aborted peace talks. Instead, Trump asked Army Secretary Daniel Driscoll, a possible successor, to fly to Moscow instead of Hegseth. The watchdog report on Signalgate has revived one of his worst moments on the job. The defense secretary, of course, shared these secret details. CNN obtained a report by the inspector general on the leak and more. According to CNN, Hegseth refused to be interviewed, which has also been reported, as we just read. It couldn't have come at a worse time for him. The president is widely believed to be waiting until a year has passed in his second term before making his first cabinet reshuffle. It's looking increasingly likely that Hegseth will be the first to go. So among these all different reasons we just read here in this Daily Beast article, you have this major Signalgate report. You have the Pentagon knowing about the survivors, but still launching a follow-up attack and more. I mean, there's so many different things that Hegseth has done. It looks like he might be on the outs. But let me know in the comments if you think that Donald Trump will turn on him. There's a good argument that he won't. I hear that. But if I had to take a guess, the first person to go, probably going to be Hegseth. So look, I will leave the video there. Thank you so much for watching, and make sure to subscribe down below. It goes an incredibly long way. Drop a like on the video, comment, let me know what you think about the story. And as I always say, I greatly appreciate you, and I hope you have an amazing